Hi, you guys. This is my husband,
Huh.
and I'm Tamia. The Boltons, Bonnie, Mia. So we're going to be talking about jobs today. So I'm gonna start off by saying my jobs. I first started working in 2014. Um, as soon as I turned 16, I'm like, yo, my parents are like, they give me everything I want. They're perfect. They just give me everything I want. So I mean, I don't need a job. I mean, they got money. Like they give me food, they give me clothes, they give me everything I possibly need and more. But the simple fact that I was lonely, I was bored all the time. I was a single child. I was always just there, and they was be gone, going to church and shit. So I'm like, you know what? I only do daycare, but if I get a railroad job, then I can actually get the fuck out this house without them saying, "Oh, we're scared," because they were strict, so they didn't want me to leave the house alone. So I'm like, "Oh, if I get a job, then I have to leave the house alone." So I start working at Tops. But let me tell you the stupid ass story that came behind Tops. I got hired in December, but I didn't start working until April because the person who hired me, they quit. So then I had to start the whole thing over again. So I didn't start working until April. And guess what? They didn't even tell me how to be a cashier or nothing. So immediately they just put me on cashier, and then I worked there for probably, I really want to say like 5 months. I was doing cashier with no clue how to. I was just doing it, saying, "Oh, did you find everything today? Did you find everything good today?" And cashing them out and shit. I worked at Tops University Plaza on Amherst, whatever. And so one day this black guy came in. He had to have food stamps, and what? He has to have food stamp because he was black. Okay, whatever. I'm being racist. He had to have food stamp. And mind you, they didn't tell me how to work anything. So I was just cashing people out. White people, white people, white people. And then randomly this black man came in and he had food stamps. I'm like, I don't know how to use a card. They didn't tell me how to do that part. So I'm like, here, let me take your card. So I swipe it or whatever. And then the whole what you call it, open the thing that you get the money out of, and then I'm like, why is that open? And because if he paid with food stamps, so then I closed it again, and I was like, oh, that was weird. And I'm like, okay, you're cashed out, have a nice day. So then the next day I came in, I put on my work uniform and all that, and then I went to work, and then they was like, yo, they was all my managers was all in a circle talking about Tamia, you can't work today. And I'm like, wait, what? Do you realize that I'm scheduled for 4 to 10, right? And they was like, nah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't come to work for nothing. They talking about what happened yesterday. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The situation where the lady was throwing shit at me. Oh yeah, mind you, this lady beforehand was like rude as fuck. She was throwing like bread at me and shit, talking about, oh, you didn't pack my shit correctly. So anyways, I was like, was it that situation that I walked away and started crying? Y'all told me I could walk away. And they was like, no, we're not talking about that situation. We're talking about how you let this guy buy 137 food without even paying. And I'm like, wait, no, I swiped his card. And it was like, well, obviously it ain't go through. He just walked out the store with all this food and still his $137 on his card. And I'm like, damn, I really want this job. Can I just like give you the $137 back? Because mind you, my parents are like damn near rich, and I had like $5,000 just because they liked me. And so I'm like, yo, I'll easily just give you the money back. And it was like, nah, it's not that easy because you can't do the job. So what if you fuck up again? And I'm like, damn, I really wanted to work here. So that was like, you can either resign or you could be cart assistant. And I'm like, what is cart assistant? That was like, you gotta get all the carts together, and then you gotta clean out the bottle. No, mind you, they didn't even tell me that. So all they told me was I'm gonna have to put the carts in the store. So when I started working there, it was raining the next day, and I was mad as fuck, getting all dirty and shit. And then they was like, "Tell me into the bottle room." I'm like, "Wait, what? Ain't that a different job?" And they was like, "No, when you're a cart assistant, you gotta do the bottle room too." Mind you, it had fucking roaches, dead ass serious. Like when I say it was flies, roaches, like it was disgusting. It had every bug, maggots, all types of lava. It was disgusting. It was dirty. People put condoms and diapers. Like, mind you, it was so much shit that you wouldn't even know what should be in bottles because people was mixing garbage and bottles together. So it was just disgusting. I always had to fix a thing, and people was like, "Oh, you should help with our bags and stuff." Old ladies telling me they only give me $1 to put all the groceries in their car and push it to the car and all that. So I was doing a lot of shit that didn't even have to do with cart associate. And what else happened? There's a lot of bullshit. Clean out bathrooms, taking all the fucking trash from outside and inside, wiping windows, putting all that shit in the back of the store, taking all the bottles. Mind you, I'm fucking skinny as fuck. I was little back then. I was probably like 120 pounds. So this little ass 5 foot, 120-pound woman just doing all this big man shit. And then I had this friend Ira, and he would help me. He was like, "You too beautiful. You too cute. You're a little. How old are you?" And I was like, "I'm 16." He was like 20, and he was like, "You shouldn't be doing this job. Why aren't you a cashier?" And I had to explain this situation to him, and he like, "Oh, I just thought you was like a substitute or something. I didn't know this was your actual job." So I mean, yeah, I was working, and my parents, even my parents, they was like, "Yo, every time you come home, you stressed as fuck. You only go to sleep. You only drink water and eat bananas all fucking day." And so I was real fucking stressed out. So they was like, "Quit." So I worked for another 5 months, I would say, even though they been told me to quit. They kept telling me to quit, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna quit until I get another job. So I'm gonna talk about another job in the next video, but I'm gonna let my husband talk about his job experience. He's only gonna talk about Mighty Taco, and then the next video we're gonna talk about our other jobs. So go ahead.
All right. Mighty Taco came when I was after I got Tamia pregnant. I needed to get a job, and I had no work experience before because just like Tamia and my parents, I had money and I didn't have to do anything but watch my brother and sister. So I mean, I didn't really have to struggle. I mean, I didn't have all the best shit or the most shit in the world, but I got by pretty easily, so I didn't know, you know, how to go about it. So I would go to multiple different places, I would call up and I would try to get applications, mostly try to find paper because online ones, they don't return as fast. So I ended up going into the ECMC hospital back when I lived on Grider because it was actually real close and I didn't even know it was other stores in there. So it turns out there was a Tim Hortons, a Subway, and a Mighty Taco. So I applied for two of them because I heard the Tim Hortons had like roaches in the back and shit, and I didn't want to be around that. So I applied for Subway and Mighty Taco, but Mighty Taco was the one that ended up returning my calls and stuff. So I would go up there every day. They told me come in at 4. I would come in at like 3:30. I you know do all that shit, look presentable. Have on dress clothes. And I spoke to the manager. His name was Steve at the time. And Steve, I told him the situation about how I got a girl pregnant, my age, and how I just need the money to support my family. So he gave me the job. I worked there. Over time it got easier. I worked with people like Charles, Tyler, Tierra, people that explained to me how to do the job, how easy it was, how it was simple. Over the time, Steve ended up leaving, and we had manager after manager after manager. It wasn't really that stable after a while. So yeah, I just like make burritos, make tacos. I would stock, be cashier, or prep the food before I cooked it. I would do the dishes or take out the trash. It was a pretty easy job. Made friends with people at Subway and people at Tim Hortons, and coincidentally, my dad worked right next to me, but we never worked at the same time. So yeah. The hallways when I take out the trash was like a maze, so you could just take your time and take a break before you came back to work. You could eat on the job whenever we didn't have customers and stuff. Your comp was like $4.30, I think. We made $10 an hour, but now you can make I think $11 or $12 an hour if anybody's
12.
interested in applying. Um, yeah, but it was a pretty easy job, and I made friends. Like Charles is still a good friend to me. Like I slap him up and we hang out every time we see each other. Like Tierra's still a good person to talk to every once in a while. Like we all cool. Tyler's manager of a Family Dollar that I'm applying for since I want, you know, another job.
That's true.
So I mean, yeah, everything there was pretty cool. Um, but I ended up getting fired, and the reason why I got fired is because I was living with my dad at the time. So what happened was my dad went to work, and it was during the Juneteenth. So my dad went to work before I can get my clothes. So I left to go do errands. And then I called my dad when I tried to get in the house and couldn't, and was like, "Yo, you locked me out. My clothes is at the house. I can't get changed for work." So he said, "All right, I'll see what I can do." You know, real vague. So what's up?
No, just seeing if the mic was on.
Oh, so yeah. I called my job and I was like, yo, my dad locked me out the house, so I can't get to my stuff. But I'll call you guys if the situation changes and I can get my stuff. And they said, all right, Savon, just keep us posted. I said, okay. So
It smelled good. I had to
yeah,
let it out.
it's strong, but it smells good. But so we ended up going to the Juneteenth while waiting for my dad to come back. And he came back. But when he came back, my shift was almost over. It was like an hour away from when I was supposed to get off. So I called him back and I'm like, hey, my dad finally got home. I can get my stuff now. Do you guys think I should still come in? And they said, nah, sorry. We found a replacement. And, you know, by then I've been working for almost 2 years. I've been working there for a year and a half. So, you know, I was pretty well established, pretty well known throughout the hospital. So, you know, it wasn't like they wasn't just going to fire me that easily over it. So, yeah, I called when I was supposed to go back into work, and I asked when I have work tomorrow. Since I didn't come in the previous day, I didn't know my schedule. So they was like, oh, yeah, about that. You have work today, but we don't know if you can come in. Because the thing about Mighty Taco is it's not like other corporations. Mighty Taco is owned by, like, it's district by one manager. Each manager rules by district. So you have your regular manager that comes in, your assistant manager if your store is big enough. My store wasn't big enough because it was in a hospital. So a regular staff would be like 10 people. My staff is about 3.
Wow.
One manager and 2 staff members. Now, each Mighty Taco is controlled by, like, I guess you could say, a super manager, which is their job is to watch over every Mighty Taco in their district. Now, my district was Erie, which means it was like 12 Mighty Tacos in Erie district. So this one guy, I forgot his name, but he was the super manager that came in and he gave Steve like a really hard time. That's why Steve ended up going to a different store. But yeah, he would come in and he's the one that really managed everything and made sure everything was all right. So the regular manager was really like an assistant manager in a sense. So yeah, so he was the one that determined if I got fired or not. So he heard the situation, but you know, when you're a regular worker, you're expendable. So he was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I'll get in contact with myself. We talked about stuff that I can't remember anymore. So, yeah, but end of the day, you know, I got fired and I couldn't go back into work. So, I mean, I understood. Like, it was nobody else's fault but his. Like, you know, and my dad, I guess. Like, it was nothing I could have done about that situation. It's not like the manager and my coworkers were against me or were spiteful. You know, it was nobody on the internals' fault. There was strictly external forces and stuff that, you know, made me lose my job.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I have no hard feelings. I just went to a Mighty Taco recently, you know, explained the whole situation, and they was like, oh, well, you know, it's fine. I'm actually surprised that you got fired because that's something, especially if you was working there for a year and a half, because that's not usually something that people would lose their jobs over.
Exactly. Petty as fuck.
And, you know, her district wasn't Erie, so she had no idea who the person I was talking about was, but she agreed that, you know, it was really silly and that he was an asshole. But, yeah, everything's cool. You know, it's fine. So, that's the job that I had. I also worked at Taco Bell on Maple Road. I know. But like she said, we're gonna save that for a future video because we don't want this to run too long because then nobody will watch it.
Yeah, it's too long.
Yeah. So with that being said, that's the story about our first job. I only had 2, but she got like fucking 12. So yeah.
Love y'all. Like and subscribe. Share.
But
See you in the next video.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, like and subscribe. Leave a comment about future videos that you want us to talk about, and we'll be more than happy to get to it.